Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Nick Cosgrove and I am back with this week's No Filter Q&A. This is the episode where I answer all questions related to diet, training, and supplementation that I've received over the last 7 days from our in-house clients, online clients, as well as a few of our online followers. Remember, if you have any questions related to your workout program, nutritional plan, or supplements you are currently taking, not taking, or considering taking, please feel free to email me those questions at nick@foreverfitperformance.com, or you can DM me your questions on my Instagram at fitcosgrove_. All right, let's get started with this week's No Filter Q&A with question number one. Nick, I have been dealing with a dull lower back pain for the past 3 weeks. I finally got in to see my doctor and he told me to take a few weeks off from the gym. I've already taken 2 weeks off and don't want to fall too far behind. Should I listen to him or just go back and keep things light? Now, in my opinion, taking exercise and dietary nutrition advice from a GP would be like taking relationship advice from me. Don't do it. Okay. General practitioners are great, right? They're educated. When you're sick, you go see your doctor. They might recommend, something like a prescription-based medication, a painkiller, whatever it is. You're feeling under the weather, you go see your doctor. But when it comes to muscular pain, when it comes to injury prevention, telling someone to, oh, rest and take it easy, that's good advice for the average sedentary person. For sure, because we know the average sedentary person is not going to get their ass to the gym. But for someone who's exercising on a regular basis, this is the worst advice you could tell them to do. Your body craves movement. Your body is used to movement. And in my opinion, the best way to help get rid of injuries is to move. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean if you're dealing with a lower back pain to go in and deadlift 600 pounds. No. But if you're dealing with a lower back pain, what's stopping you from doing walking lunges? What's stopping you from doing a bench press? What's stopping you from doing dumbbell lateral raises? Nothing. Because none of those movements really involve much lumbar region activation. So for a doctor to say, oh, just rest, again, great advice for the average sedentary person. But if you're someone who's active and fit, terrible advice. And I would not recommend following that advice. If anything, I feel like that type of advice is actually going to set you back further. And I don't just mean by getting results in the gym, but I think it's actually going to make your injury worse. Because what does weight training do? It strengthens the muscles, it strengthens the tendons, it strengthens the joints, it strengthens your immune system. So the worst thing you could do is just, oh no, I'm just going to take it easy and just rest. No. I remember when I had my appendix taken out a few years ago, that doctor told me that I was not going to be allowed to lift anything more than 5 pounds for 6 weeks. Now, I deal with people in gyms all the time, so I have to pass them weights. I have to spot them. I have to lift more than 5 pounds. By day two, after my surgery, I was back in the gym training clients. And by day five, I was back doing workouts again. I don't listen to the generic advice given to the masses because I'm active, I'm fit, my immune system is strong, my muscular system is strong. If I have an injury, I deal with it accordingly. I listen to my body. With all the different planes and ranges of motion that you can do in the gym, you can do numerous exercises that to help avoid an injury and in fact to help strengthen the muscles surrounding that injury so that you can recover in a more quickly and timely fashion. Okay. So I would not take that advice. I would listen to your body and, work with a personal trainer or work with someone in the gym who can help you by designing a safe and effective program while you're dealing with this injury. Because I promise you, when I have people that come work with me and they're dealing with chronic injuries, whether it be in their lower back or in their rotator cuff, or maybe they have a torn quadricep, whatever it is, a hip replacement, I can still work with that person because I can work around the injury. And in turn, by working around the injury, I'll work muscles to help strengthen that area that is inflamed, that is weak. So there's so many benefits to weight training that doctors, especially GPs, know nothing about. So I wouldn't take that advice. And this is not me putting down GPs because GPs are great, but I'm just saying when it comes to dietary nutrition and exercise knowledge, I would really be careful what you listen to. Because I'll give you a perfect example. I have a client who just genetically has high cholesterol levels, and his doctor was telling him to stop eating eggs. I said, are you crazy? If you're eating omega-3 eggs, this is actually going to help decrease your LDL levels and increase your HDL levels. Don't stop eating omega-3 eggs. You might want to cut back on your cheat meals. But at the end of the day, if it's something that's hereditary, well, then there's medication for that, like something like Lipitor in the case of cholesterol. But don't just stop moving because movement is the best thing that you can do when you're dealing with an injury. I promise you, your body craves movement. You got to create more blood flow. You have to stay active. Resting is not, honestly, is not the best advice. And as I said, you need to train smart. So if you're dealing with a lower back injury, you don't go into the gym and deadlift 600 pounds. You don't go squat 300 pounds. You plan accordingly. You train intelligently. You approach each workout methodically. And that's how you're going to get rid of that injury. All right. Next question. Nick, do you recommend training differently in the off season versus contest prep? And if so, what would your training program look like? Yeah. So one thing when I used to compete, what I would do is I'd always ask for feedback from the judges. Okay. So I'd compete, let's say the show was in June, and then I stepped off stage and I would email the judges my contest photos once I got them back. And I would say, can you just give me some feedback and tell me what I need to work on? And in my case, it was always a weak upper back. That was where I really struggled. It was really to put a size in the upper back. I had great legs, great shoulders, great chest, but my back was underdeveloped. So that feedback was crucial because I've talked about this in the past. By taking that feedback, I went back to the gym, went back to the drawing board and said, okay, how can I make my back thicker and wider? Well, why don't I create 2 back days? So I created a row day and I created a pull down day. And after about a year of following that program in the off season, I actually went back on stage and my back had dramatically changed to the point where I had judges telling me, wow, you really brought up your back. So I took that feedback and I used it to my advantage and said, okay, what can I do to help strengthen my weaknesses? Because everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Fortunately, you can't choose your genetics. Some people have stronger lower bodies, some people have stronger upper bodies. But if you learn to work with your genetics as opposed to against them, you can really achieve incredible results with your physique. So my recommendation is if you are someone who competes is to get that feedback from the judges, because that feedback will tell you what you need to work on. If you have a training partner, that training partner, if he or she has a critical eye and understands basic anatomy and physiology and how, you're being judged, whether you're in a bodybuilding show or men's physique or bikini, women's physique, whatever it is, understands the criteria that the judges are looking for, then you can really capitalize on your weaknesses. Still focus on your strengths. That's one thing too. A lot of people sometimes, like for me, I have always had strong quads, but I still train my quads hard. I didn't take my foot off the gas because genetically I've got pretty good quads. I still did my triple drop sets. Still did high volume. I was still squatting 315, which is heavy for me, because I wanted to keep those legs. So don't neglect your strengths, but give a little bit more focus and detail to your weaknesses. So that's the only thing I'd recommend as far as training should change. But as far as like repetitions and volume, I would keep that the same. Double-digit reps, high volume. I'm a firm believer in high volume, minimal rest periods. And of course, nutrition and supplementation is key. You cannot neglect that. A lot of people in the off season, they kind of just shit the bed on their diets. And that's a huge mistake. And a lot of the competitors I work with can say, okay, look, we've got 6 or 7 months to your next show. We've got to really tap into the diet here. We've got to dial in your diet in the off season, make sure that we're feeding you accordingly so that every ounce that you put on is muscle and not fat. And that's tricky to do because I've always talked about how easy it is to gain weight and how easy it is to lose weight. But I've also talked about how difficult it is to gain muscle while not gaining fat and how to lose fat without losing muscle. That's very different. And so you have to take a very different approach to how you diet someone down when you're trying to do that. So the diet is crucial. And obviously the supplementation is crucial, whether you're going to go down the enhanced route with anabolic steroids or you're going to go down the natural route. That will also be a factor to take into consideration with your training and your diet. So, but that would be the only thing I would really focus on is get that feedback from the judges and then take that feedback and use it to your benefit. Okay. Because that's what they're looking for. And that's what you're being judged on. Sometimes it's hard for you because you see yourself every day, right? You might think, oh, wow, I look great. Or, oh, wow, I look like shit. But the judges don't lie. If the judges are marking you into third place, they're going to tell you why they put you in third place and what you need to work on. Okay. So go back to the drawing board and get to work because that's how you're going to build the physique that they're going to award on stage and hopefully improve your placing. All right. Nick, how many shoulder exercises should I be doing during my shoulder workouts? I'm currently doing dumbbell presses, side raises with dumbbells, and front raises with dumbbells for 4 sets each. Okay, so you're doing 12 sets for your shoulder workout, and it sounds like you're doing 2 exercises for your anterior deltoids and 1 exercise for your medial deltoids. I assume when you say side raises, you mean dumbbell lateral raises. Okay, so that's going to work your medial deltoid. Dumbbell shoulder press is going to work your anterior deltoid, and a dumbbell front raise is going to work your anterior deltoid. Now, the only problem is you're neglecting your posterior deltoids and your trapezius. So you'd want to do some reverse dumbbell flies, and you'd want to do some rope upright rows or dumbbell or barbell shrugs to work your traps. In my opinion, a good shoulder workout should consist of at least 6 to 7 different exercises. I like to give 2 exercises for the anterior deltoid, which you're already doing. I like to give 2 exercises for the medial deltoid, which you're only doing one. And I like to give 2 exercises for the posterior deltoid, which you're not doing any. And I like to give at least 1 exercise for the traps. So off the top of my head, something like barbell military press and a dumbbell shoulder press. Those would be 2 exercises for your anterior deltoids. Then you could do some dumbbell lateral raises with some unilateral cable raises. That'd be 2 exercises for your medial deltoids. Then you could do some rear delt dumbbell flies, and then you could do some cable rear delt flies. Those are 2 exercises for your posterior deltoids. And then you could finish up your traps with some cable upright rows, barbell shrugs, or dumbbell shrugs. So that's my opinion. And the reason I suggest that is because shoulders, they're a small muscle group, but they're a very complex muscle group. They're what we call like a 3D dimensional muscle group. And you got to be very careful when you're working your shoulders because hands down, next to back injuries, this is the most common injury I see are shoulder issues with the rotator cuff. You hear people dislocating their shoulders or slight tears in the rotator cuff. It's very common. Okay, so you got to be very careful when you train your shoulders. So my recommendation is keep your reps in that 10 to 15 rep range, minimal rest periods. And, a good way to train your shoulders too, what I like to do with my shoulder workouts, I'll go first exercise anterior, second exercise posterior, third exercise medial, and then I'll do that again. So I'll finish my 4 sets, 4 sets, 4 sets, and I'll do that again. And I'll say, okay, my next 3 exercises, again, I'm going to do anterior deltoid, posterior deltoid, medial deltoid, and then I finish up with some traps. So that's a good way to train them as well. You don't have to train them like that, but that's my recommendation just to balance out all the muscle groups accordingly. Okay. Nick, what's the best way to work out to achieve results? 2 days on, 1 day off, or 3 days on, 2 days off? I train 4 times a week in the gym with weights and run 2 times a week. It's not an exact science. It really comes down to your genetics, your lifestyle, and what you feel works best for you and your physique. It's not like necessarily going to the gym 2 days and taking 1 day off, you're going to receive optimal results. I know people like myself who sometimes I go to the gym 20, 30 days in a row and I don't take a break and I'm fine. You have to listen to your body, right? So the most important thing to remember is the consistency factor. It's not about 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 2 days off, heavy day, light day. It's not that. It's the consistency. That's what's important. If you're going to the gym day in, day out, yeah, you take 1 day off a week or maybe 2 days off a week. When you take those days off, I don't know. Listen to your body. Go by your lifestyle. Do you have a busy day at work? You have some family obligations? Maybe you should take that day off, right? If you have a slow day, maybe you should do extra work or do an extra heavy leg day that day. But listen to your body. Okay. The consistency factor is the most important thing. And this is so important because I see so many people who are constantly overthinking, like, okay, I got to do a heavy pull day, and then I got to do a row day, and I got to do a push day, I got to do a lower body day, and 5 days on, 1 day off, and all these training splits. I'm like, just get in the fucking gym. Sorry, but just get in the fucking gym and stay consistent. And stay consistent day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out, and you will achieve results. It's all about consistency. And it really is that simple. It just comes down to the consistency factor. Consistency and work ethic are the 2 most important factors when it comes to building muscle and losing fat. If you've got both those, you're going to achieve results, guaranteed. If you're someone who just goes balls to the wall for 3 weeks and then you take 3 weeks off, you're hit and miss. You're 2 days on, you're going really hard, and then you go out drinking and you go out partying for 3 days and you're hungover for 3 days. You're not going to get results. Okay. So stop overthinking it and just get in the gym. Listen to your body, go with what works with your lifestyle. As I said, if you're someone who is like me and some days on the floor, I'm working for 12, 14 hours, I might not get a workout in that day. But then another day where I'm like maybe only 5 or 6 hours on the floor and most of my days online, I can go to the gym maybe at 5 in the morning and get a workout in. So I listen to my body and I also go by my lifestyle. And that's so important. Okay. So don't overthink it. And I don't have an answer for what's better, 2 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off. I don't know because I don't follow that. I just listen to my body and I go with the consistency factor and make sure that the work ethic is there. And I don't allow myself to skip a workout. Okay. The only time I miss a workout is if I'm really busy in the day and I honestly don't have time to get that workout in, but I make up for it the next day. I'll train even harder. So that's how I train. Okay. So that's my recommendation. Don't get caught up on all these split training and push and pull days and all this nonsense. Just get into the gym and stay consistent with your training. All right. Okay. Nick, I saw your post about the trainer that fired her client. I get what you're saying about how unprofessional it is to announce it over social media, but wouldn't you want to fire a client if they were not listening to you and not making any changes in their body? I think it could look bad on the trainer having a client like this. Yeah, so for those that don't know, I posted a video on my Instagram last week. I think I put it up last Thursday with regards to a post that I saw from another trainer who I didn't tag and I won't name. I'm pretty sure she's seen my post now, though, that talked about how she fired a client and why she fired this client because the client was not showing up to the workouts. The client was not following the nutritional plan that she laid out, the supplement protocol that she designed. So she just fired the client. And I talked about how unprofessional that was to announce that over social media, because I truly believe that is unprofessional to go into grave detail as to why you fired this client to embarrass that person. So if you haven't seen that video, you can go check it out. I'm not going to rehash what I said. But to answer this question, no. I have clients that don't listen to everything I say. I've got clients that drink every day. I have clients that the only reason they've hired me is so that they don't put on any more weight. They're happy with actually being overweight. That's okay with them. As long as they can continue along with their lifestyle, as long as they can eat and drink whatever they want. I do have people like this. Do they make changes in their physique? Yeah, somewhat, but they don't make dramatic changes in their physique. They don't make the same changes as my clients who follow the nutritional plan I design for them, the supplement protocol I lay out for them, and the workouts that I put in with them day in, day out. They don't make the same changes that those people make, but they're okay with that. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So I don't market my services based on the physical results of my clients. Um, my job, again, I've talked about this as a trainer, is to motivate and inspire people to do better and feel better in life. That doesn't necessarily translate to how you look. Okay. Yeah, it's great. If you can build muscle and lose fat, that's fantastic. And that is something that I help a lot of people do. But there's also another factor to take into consideration, and that's your overall health, well-being, not just your physical health, but your mental health. So a lot of people who come to see me, it's also for the mental health benefits, right? And a lot of those people will not go to the gym on their own. They don't like the gym. They don't go there. Or they're a really busy professional and they don't have time to go to a commercial gym and wait for equipment and think of what to do in their next exercise or, whatever it is. They can come to my gym, a private facility, and have the workout designed and ready for them. And all they have to do is follow what I lay out for them. And a lot of people like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's a lot of people who just go to the gym, whether they're my clients or not, who their number one priority is not to make changes in their physique. It could be just to improve their overall health and well-being, keep up with their kids, keep up with their grandkids, prevent themselves from getting osteoarthritis, whatever it is, keeping their immune system strong and healthy, just having more energy. Okay, so no, I would not fire a client because he or she was not following the program that I designed for them. Nor would I fire a client if he or she did not show up for my workouts. I have a few people on my roster. If I did that, God, I'd probably get rid of 10% of my roster because I have people that don't show up for workouts. I don't lecture them. They're adults. They don't need me to lecture them. They know. They have a workout with me, whether it's a group class or private or partner training session. They don't show up. They don't show up. I'm there. I'm always there. But I'm not going to lecture someone or make someone feel bad or fire them because they're not showing up. This is their time. They're paying you for that time. It's not your time as a trainer. It's their time. Whether they show up to the workout or not, that's never bothered me. I'm like, all right, well, it's your time. You're still paying for that time, right? Whether they take your dietary nutrition advice or not, you're still doing everything you can as their coach to help them with the diet component, but they don't want to listen to you. They don't want to listen to you, and that's okay. So that's my philosophy. I don't fire people. Okay. The only time I've ever had to fire a client is, I think I've talked about this in the past, is during COVID-19 when that person was, I didn't fire them because they were an anti-vaxxer, but they were going on these tangents and they were really trying to push their feelings and thoughts on COVID on other people. And they were causing issues in the gym. So for that reason, I had to ask that person to no longer come to the gym. But it wasn't because of their beliefs on COVID. It wasn't because they were an anti-vaxxer or anything like that. It was just because they were trying to push their thoughts and their feelings on other people, which I've always said the gym is not a place to do that. Whether it's about COVID-19 or religion or politics, that's not where you do it. Okay. You want to go do that, go have a coffee, a drink with someone and talk that. So that's the only time I've ever fired a client. It's never been because they're not following the workout program or they're not following the supplement protocol or nutritional advice that I give out to them. No. So if you haven't seen that video, go to my Instagram, @fitcosgrove_, check it out. It was posted last week. And I really go into a rant about why and how unprofessional that was of a trainer to talk about firing her client online. Okay. All right. Next question. Nick, I've been having a bit of pain on the right lower side of my abs area. Do you think this is serious and something I should get checked out? It's not super painful, but I'm afraid lifting weights might make it worse. Okay, so that could be serious because when you're talking about your right lower abdominal region, that could be multiple things. It could be an ulcer, could be a hernia, it could be appendicitis, right? So it could just be a muscle strain. So these are all things you also want to check out. There could be an obstruction in your colon because that's where your colon tube actually starts. So these are things that you really need to pay attention to. Now, let's say best case scenario, it's just a muscle strain. That should take about 2, maybe 3 weeks to recover from. Worst case scenario, it's one of the other three. Ulcers are pretty serious. Appendicitis, to me, that doesn't sound like appendicitis because when I talked about earlier, when I had my appendix removed, it came on very quickly. It wasn't a dull pain, it was a severe pain, and it was more towards the midsection for me, not so much my right area, but that's where the appendix is. So you do have to be careful. But that pain, in my experience, in talking with other people who've had their appendix removed, it usually starts in the midsection more, like in the middle. But you have to be careful because on the right side, that's where your appendix is. So you do have to watch for potential appendicitis. And then as far as a hernia, now a hernia is very serious and something you have to watch. Some people, they live with a hernia, no problem. But if you're someone who's lifting weights, it might become very problematic. And a good way to tell if you have a hernia is if you feel that area and you push in, if you feel a bit of a bulge, okay? It can be very minor. And if you're someone who has low body fat, you should be able to feel that. Now, obviously, if you have someone who's higher body fat, you have maybe a bit of a gut, it's going to be harder to feel that area. Anyway, whatever it is, I would still go and get it checked out if it's still bothering you. Okay, your doctor might recommend going for an ultrasound, maybe a CT scan, whatever it is, just to see. I don't think they'd send you for an MRI, but maybe. But it would probably be one of the other CT scan or ultrasound, just to make sure that it's not an ulcer or hernia or potential obstruction in your bowel. Okay. So hopefully it's just a muscle strain. My recommendation, regardless, so I've had that before. Actually, I'm dealing with something similar to that right now. It's not on my right side. It's actually my left side. But to me, I believe it's in my case, it's just muscle strain. So I'm avoiding right now things like heavy barbell squats, anything that requires me to lift really heavy weight off the floor, like maybe a bent over barbell row. I'm going a little bit lighter on. T-bar rows, I'm going a little bit lighter on. I'm just listening to my body. I'm still doing the movements, but I'm really paying attention to my body, listening to how my midsection is responding, and just making sure I'm doing everything I can to stop the injury from getting worse. But I'm still moving. So like I said in the first question, movement is key. You still want to move. If the pain gets worse, though, go to emergency right away. Okay, a few more questions. Nick, how fast should I be doing my reps in the gym? I see some people lifting fast while others lifting slow and would like to know what the right speed is. So I've had this question a few times in the past. It's a good question. And I know it can be confusing because you do see sometimes people doing what I call ballistic repetitions, which I don't recommend, people like swinging and using momentum. And then you see explosive repetitions, which are not necessarily wrong. And then you also see some people doing really slow repetitions, which again aren't necessarily wrong. So it'll really come down to what your goal is and whether you're trying to work fast twitch versus slow twitch muscle fibers. But at the end of the day, whenever I start having this conversation with someone, people get really confused because they're like, well, I don't know. Should I be doing this fast and this slow? And for the general population that work out, a good rule of thumb, keep your reps at a 1-2 tempo speed and you can't go wrong. Okay. And what I mean by that is if you're doing, let's say, a bench press, you're going down on the eccentric contraction. It should be a 1-2, and then you're going up on the concentric contraction, 1-2. I don't recommend pausing during reps. So it's that 1-2, 1-2. And if you keep that tempo speed, what's good about that is you're controlling on both the down phase and up phase of the movement. So you're controlling the weight. You're not allowing the weight to control you. You're not using momentum. You're not doing ballistic movements like you see in CrossFit. And your risk of injury goes down significantly because you're controlling the weight on both the eccentric contraction and the concentric contraction. So rather than focus on, okay, should I be doing super fast reps, super slow reps, or should I be counting my reps? And which exercises should I be doing fast? Which exercise should I be doing slow? Keep it simple. Follow that 1-2 tempo speed, and you can't go wrong. Okay. And that's for every exercise. I don't care if you're squatting, I don't care if you're curling, I don't care if you're bench pressing. If you follow that speed, that 1-2 top, 1-2 down tempo speed, you're not going to get injured, and you're going to control the weights, and you're going to get results. So that's my recommendation as far as rep speed's concerned. 1-2 up, 1-2 down, that 1-2 tempo speed, in my experience, works best. Okay. Two more questions. Nick, what would you consider to be a safe workout for a 7-year-old? 70-year-old. My mom is turning 70 this year, and I want to buy her some fitness classes for Christmas, but I'm not sure what would be best for her based on her age. I'm thinking either Pilates or yoga. What do you recommend for older people who need to exercise? It's interesting. I had this, not this question, but I was talking about this with someone earlier this week about age. And I think I even talked about it on one of my posts a few weeks ago on my Instagram posts. And I don't consider age to be a factor. And I talked about this last week on the YouTube channel with the Mike Tyson fight. I truly don't believe age to be a factor if you're someone who has been lifting weights throughout your entire life. So if you're a 70-year-old person, man or woman, and you've been lifting weights in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, there's no reason why you can't continue to lift weights, right? It's not like, oh, I've hit 70, that's it, I got to stop lifting weights. No, you can still lift weights. If anything, you should be continuing to lift weights more. You don't necessarily have to go super heavy, but you want to make sure that you're training more frequently in the gym, because that's going to help prevent things like osteoarthritis, tendonitis, keep your immune system strong from diseases and cancers, help fight off those diseases and cancers. So I wouldn't necessarily say because your mom's 70, she should not be doing a difficult workout. Now, if your mom is completely new to exercise and hasn't done anything her entire life and is very sedentary, then yeah, of course, she's going to want to start off on a beginner level workout plan. But that workout program can be anything from resistance training to yoga to Pilates, or all three. Why not? Right? I'm a firm believer, though, and I'm probably a little bit biased here, that I believe that the best type of workout for the aging population is resistance training, because you see a lot of people as they get older, the ones who are not taking care of themselves, the ones who are not lifting weights on a regular basis, their bones, their muscles become weak and frail. They're more susceptible to falls, right? And their balance goes off. And weightlifting is all about balance. People talk about strengthening your core in Pilates and yoga, but in my opinion, there's nothing that's going to strengthen your core more than getting in the squat rack and squatting. That, to me, to this day, is the best core exercise you will ever do. So when people say, I want to take something, go something light, maybe I should take a Zumba class, or I'm like, it really depends on, what your goals are and what your fitness level is, but not what your age is. Because I can tell you right now, I think I talked about this. I have a client who's 75 years old. That person has been training with me for 20 years. That person's squatting in the squat rack 315, and he's 75 years old. So age is not a factor for him. Okay. He's training harder and more intensely than most people in their 20s. So you got to get this whole age is a factor out of your head. Oh, my mom, she's old, she's frail. She might be frail, but not because she's old. She's frail because she's been living a sedentary lifestyle. Or maybe she's very active. And in that case, if she's active and fit, my recommendation is to book in. If you want to get her some fitness classes, that's great. But I think someone like that would benefit more from some private sessions with a personal trainer, whether that be with resistance training in yoga, Pilates. I always find that individual approach, that customized approach, is more effective. Group classes are great. They're cost effective, but at the end of the day, you're not going to get that same individual instruction. So whether you are someone who's brand new to the gym, which in that case, I definitely recommend booking some private sessions, or if you're someone who's been training for many years on your own, but never worked with a trainer, you too could benefit from just picking a few private sessions with a trainer to learn something new, right? I've got people that book sessions with me who've been training for 20 years on their own, but they want to learn something new. Maybe they want to learn how to do a barbell back squat properly, or maybe they want to learn how to do drop sets or supersets, or they want to learn how to do circuit training. Whatever it is, you can always learn something new, right? So I think that's actually going to be more beneficial than fitness classes, booking a few private sessions with a trainer, and then maybe moving on to some fitness classes. But I wouldn't limit someone because of their age. Okay. You might have to limit someone because of their fitness level, but not because of their age. So to answer that question, my recommendation would be to get in the gym and do some resistance training for your mom. And if she's a beginner, book some sessions with a personal trainer. Reputable, knowledgeable personal trainer would be best. Someone with lots of Google reviews, testimonials. That, in my opinion, that's the best way to find someone who knows what they're doing. Okay. And yeah, if you want to book some yoga and Pilates for sure, that works well. But movement is key. Okay. And don't put limitations on someone because of their age, because they might surprise you. All right. Last question. Nick, do you ever work out with your clients? I see some trainers that do that and was curious if this is something that you offer or might consider offering at a discounted rate. Um, you know what? No, I don't work out with my clients. So I take my job very seriously. When I'm working with someone, whether it's one-on-one, in a partner session, or in a small group class, that person or people are getting my undivided attention. Okay. So I'm looking at form, I'm looking at technique. When I'm working out, the last thing I want to be doing is correcting someone's form or technique. And even if I'm working out and that person's working out with me and not expecting me to correct their form and technique, I won't be able to help myself because they're my client. Now, if they're just like my training partner who's been training with me for years, like when I used to compete, I used to have training partners that would train with me for years. They weren't my clients, they were my training partners. Most of them were actually personal trainers themselves. That was fine because usually what I would do is I'd have my headphones on, they'd have their headphones on, and we would just go set by set. But they wouldn't be paying me for the session, nor would I be paying them, right? And it took a lot of pressure off me because that was my time to work out. These days, I like working out on my own. I find it very therapeutic. It gives me time to think. It gives me time just to clear my head. It's that I talked about how I only train for about 45 to 50 minutes, but it's that one time of the day, 45 to 50 minutes, where I don't have to think about work. I don't have to think about outside stresses. I can just zone in on my workout. I don't answer emails. I don't answer text messages. I don't go on TikTok. I don't go on Instagram. I zone in. No one talks to me. People that I work with, they know not to come and talk to me unless it's absolutely necessary because I think they know I like to focus. I'm only asking for 45 to 50 minutes of my day where I'm not bothered. And you know what? It works for me. So it's not something that I would do or I would ever offer because my workouts are just as important to me as the workouts are to my clients to them. And also, I feel like I wouldn't be offering a good service. The service it would be diluted because I know I wouldn't really be a good trainer to them. And it might help them because at least I'm keeping them motivated and accountable because they're working out with me, but they're going to get more out of the workout if I'm coaching them. So I like to keep the two separate. I have my workouts, which I schedule in. I always schedule my workouts in ahead of time, the week ahead of time. So if I book in a workout, my workout's going to be at 11 a.m. on a Monday morning. I'm not booking that session with a client. I'm not booking a meeting with a potential client. I'm focused on that's my workout time slot. I take it just as seriously as I would if any session in the gym. Okay. Because that's my time. And that time is very important for me to be productive with my business and my relationship. If I don't have that, my business could falter, my relationship could falter. So that allows me to really focus in, zone in on my workout, move my body, get active, get fit, stay productive. So it's not something, a service that I'm interested in offering. I have seen trainers do that with their clients. I don't think it's unprofessional. Whatever, if that works for the trainer and the client, that works. It's just not something that I'm interested in offering, nor do I think I ever will offer that. Anyway, that's it for this week's No Filter Q&A. This episode will be going up on Monday, November the 25th. As a reminder, if you have any questions related to your diet, training, or supplementation, please feel free to email me at nick@foreverfitperformance.com, or you can DM me your questions on my Instagram at @fitcosgrove_. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for supporting my YouTube channel, my online coaching business, my in-house personal training business. I truly do appreciate all the support and feedback that I get from all of you. Thanks again, and bye for now. I will see you all next week.